Hello, this is William Longfellow, and welcome to Let's Play Pilotwings. Today on Lesson 8, we will be taking Big Al's courses, and he instructs us that we will need our radar to navigate through the night. This isn't really true. We need our radar as usual to tell where the wind's blowing, but by night he means this sort of dark blue palette. It does convey night, but I don't find it quite as calming as the weirdish purple stuff in Lance's course. Still, hang glider music, it's nice stuff to listen to. Now, the 8th lesson is the hardest one in the game. You need an average of 80 points on each course to pass it. And the hang glider is one of the two real tricky ones. The hang gliding and the skydiving are my nemesis on Big Al's course. And the problem with both of them is not going through the rings, which I'm usually able to do, but landing correctly. So here, even if I go on sort of weird adventures, going to the right and to the left, and up and down, it shouldn't be too hard to navigate yourself towards the ring. Just make sure that you're at a low enough altitude or a high enough altitude if you didn't get as much air on that thermal current there. And now what I like to do is I sort of drift off this direction, and once I hit about 175 feet, I start to turn around. There we go. And that's one of my sort of strategies that sort of admits that I haven't mastered the hang glider enough to use sort of general techniques. I have this very specific thing that I use to make my way. And they're not an altogether bad landing. That should net us about 90 points, 95 maybe. There, 95 points. Enough to be proud of. And it sets us up very nicely for this level. However, we're not home free. Even with 225 points needed to qualify, you need an average of over 70 for each of the remaining levels. And the skydiving is where it gets most difficult. Now, it's not too difficult to go through the rings, although it is easy to sort of get lost and find yourself panicking as you sort of fly all over the place and miss the rings. But if you find a nice angle like this one, it shouldn't be too hard to make your way through the rings just by pressing up and down. I did adjust myself laterally a bit, and on the last few rings you can sort of go on a few more adventures. Start moving around a little bit more, adjust yourself. But you don't want to be doing that on the early rings, otherwise you risk losing control and missing a whole bunch of them. Now I like releasing the parachute at about 600, and then coming over to the target kind of like this. In fact, I might have turned around too late. Actually, no, this was actually a perfect landing. We get to see Big Al's tears here. But what I like to do is I like to come in against the wind at the end, and that allows me to adjust my speed a little bit more. All right. Now, I like to think that I'm home free here because the rocket belt is, like most rocket belt courses, pretty easy here. And so if I score a good at least 90 points here, all I would have to do with the light plane is go through, well, we'll see what happens with the light plane course. Oh, I almost forgot to press the turbo there. Now it's really easy to lose time on this one because these bouncing ball targets are very small. And the wind blows you all around, so what sometimes happens is I'll barely miss one of these bouncing ball targets, and then I'll swing around, I'll circle around it, trying to hit it. But I'll never be able to close the circle quite enough to get to it. So what I usually do is instead of circling, I sort of press back on my thrusters. I try to slow down as much as possible and then adjust my position just over the little circle on which the balls bounce. There we see a bit of the navigating trouble here. There we go, not too slow, but you start losing points for time at about 1:30. So it's a very good thing to take this level quickly. In fact, if I don't land quickly enough, I might bump up against that time limit. There we go, 100 points for us. Big Al cried twice this episode. Some claim to have seen his tears. Has anybody ever scored like 100 points? Besides like some people? A few every once in a while? Alright, and things seem a bit easy now. But I still have to be a little careful here. Now there are 2 arches, and I'll press start shortly to show you where they are on the map. They're on that diagonal. So the quickest way to go through them, take off, wait a few seconds, and when the dot is, about half the length of the wind meter thing there, start turning. You can actually make this turn real quickly if at the end of the turn you start slowing down, but that's a little bit more dangerous, because if you're slow at a low altitude, then you can easily crash into the water or the land and not even get the 15 or 25 odd points that we have to get to pass this. There we go. So just keep in mind the wind, always aim a little bit right of where you want to go. The fact that the targets are rotating shouldn't be too much of a problem. I haven't had any difficulty hitting the arches themselves or going through where you're supposed to go through, even as that second one was almost parallel to the direction I was going. And then for a safe landing, it's another waiting game, just as with the last time we took Big Al's lesson. Wait till the red dot's sort of at the bottom of the screen. Turn around. Now this is a very tricky landing. The tailwind sort of makes your plane a little giddy on the runway. So I'd recommend slowing down and getting relatively low early. There we are, and I think this angle may be a little sharper here. There we go. Now just nose down. Ooh, crash. That was not what I was looking for. Now I hope I get the points for going through the arch there. I actually haven't failed my landing very much here, so I've gotten very few points for it before. I've gotten the sort of, you haven't quite succeeded music when you touch down, not on the runway, but the 40 points I got from the arches were sufficient to make me pass the course. This is rare. I rarely get as good as 100 on the skydiving and 95 on the hang glider. So if you're playing at home, well, make sure you master the light plane landing there. It can be a little tricky. And that's what I mean when I say you're never home free, because any one of these events can trip you up. Even the rocket belt, if you fly too low, you can dunk yourself in the water if you're inattentive. So here's a little preview of the next episode. Big Al asks me to go above and beyond the call of duty. And actually, if you refuse, he goes to the same chickens can't fly little but thou must speech. But anyways, yeah, you probably predicted the second helicopter mission. Of course, we'll go above and beyond the call of duty, because I want to beat this game. So I hope you come back to watch, and I'll see ya. Bye.